Hi, it's Wes, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new hybrid LED light from Godox, the FV150. And that's exciting. Why is that? Well, it's kind of a pioneer in a new brand of LED lights that are both continuous lights and flashes. So what's that mean for us? Well, we're specifically looking at the FV150, which is kind of the very slightly littler brother of the FV200, which I don't even think is out at all yet. So this light here gives you 150 watts of continuous LED output. That's 1200 lux. But in flash mode, at 1:1 power, this will pop out at 48,000 lux. That's a lot of brightness in continuous LED land. However, in flash land, that's still less than a run-of-the-mill speed light. So why do we need this? Let's go through the ratings, go through my review. I've been testing this out for a few weeks now and put it through its paces to find out what this can do and what this can't do for you. So number one, we're going to be talking about the build quality as always. And this thing, it is solid. It's a nearly all metal design. On the back here, it is a largely plastic plate, but the knobs are very nice. They click, they turn. The buttons are great, good tactile feedback, and everything feels pretty sturdy. And then when we get to the adjustment arm, there is a continuous locking mechanism on this, but unfortunately, it's not quite as interesting as the one on the 8600 Pro and the new S2 bracket. It has these teeth that bite down on a sheet of rubber in the middle to hold it in place. And sure, that works, but if you're not careful with this, just like a cheap mic stand, this lock is going to wear out with time. And so it's a little disappointing that they didn't use the new one. And underneath here, you can see the fan is yellow. So that's a thing. I mean, it's a color scheme. So it all works pretty well. And it's all very solid. A lot of openings in this, so obviously you're not going to be using this in the weather. And I think generally speaking that this is built to last. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10 for build quality. Next up is feature set, and that's kind of what we're concerned about here. That's where this one separates itself from the rest of the pack. I recently talked about the Golden Eagle LED 2000, which was a great price for a great continuous light. This also was a great price for a great continuous light, also daylight balanced. As I said before, you've got 1200 lux standard, 4800 in flash mode. This is HSS capable. However, just like most flashes, it does dim substantially when you're in HSS. The closer you get up to 1/8000th of a second, it gets darker and darker. So it's not immune to those effects. What it does appear to be immune to, and I've tested this quite a bit and I didn't have any issues, is electronic first curtain shutter banding. So presumably this is just pumping out the light for the entire length of the shutter coming down across the sensor. Instead of the pulsing that you get from a flash, this is just holding it on a little bit longer. Another reason why it's running a little bit less light when you get up that fast. But because of that, you can leave your electronic first curtain shutter on and not really have to worry about it, so far as I've noticed. Now, I have thought this about things in the past, and there are always really random situations that crop up, so don't 100% take my word on that. Always do your own tests and test shoots before you do a paid shoot for a client. Don't believe anyone else's word. Make sure your work is going to work before you do it. But I'm pretty sure. It has a reasonably quiet onboard fan. When it's in behind a softbox, like how I light myself here, I can barely tell it's on. It is a teeny tiny bit louder than the LED 2000 though, although we also have a much more compact design here, and I think that that's why there is a little bit of constrained airflow. Although I really appreciate how compact the design is though, I do prefer it that way. You have, of course, a built-in Bowens mount, which gives you great versatility for diffusion. Yes, I did touch that, and I'll wipe that smudge off later. And it also has special effects modes built in, much like a lot of smaller LED panels. But honestly, I don't quite understand the special effects modes. They are kind of crazy. For the most part, it's just a bunch of blinking. And I'm probably not going to need to call SOS anytime, and seizure warning, these lights are kind of ridiculous. So I think one of these will simulate lightning, but honestly it's not that convincing. but it can do it brightly enough to make people who don't have epilepsy want to fall over. So that's a thing. One unique property of this is that you can turn it down all the way to 1% and then to 0. So if you keep turning this wheel, it turns right off. So that's nice. It gets down real low in case you have a reason for that. Additionally, another great feature of this is that it fits in with the whole Godox system. This will work and connect to your X Pro controller and be able to be controlled as a part of any of your regular flash groups. So that makes it very convenient already working with the stuff that you have. I say that, but I'm going to touch on that more when we get to usability. It also comes with a remote control. It allows you to turn the flash off and on and control the brightness. But you don't have DMX control, as some of these lights might, and the flash duration, as you can see in a test here, just doing the ball drop test, I found this does not flash like a flash does. It stays on much too long. It does not do a good job of freezing motion, so if that's what you're looking for, this is not the light for you. And that is where it's going to lose a point for features. If you're expecting this to fully replace a flash with quick, short, motion freezing flash durations, I'm afraid that that's not going to do the job for you. When I first noticed this is when I took this light out to do a photo shoot with a ballet dancer to see if it could capture her motion. And honestly, it didn't do a great job of that. There was a little bit of blurring around the edges. I had to keep my shutter speed up pretty high to make sure that it didn't blur out, instead of relying on the flash, even though it was pretty much the only light that was illuminating her. And stick around to the end of the video, we're going to look at more of that photo shoot because it was still phenomenal. So, feature set, this is a 9 out of 10. Solid, but they gotta get that flash shortened. Light quality. And this is something awesome. Where the Golden Eagle LED 2000 had great light quality, this thing raises the bar further. This has better light quality, I would beg to say, than probably any LED light of this form factor. The skin tones are great. It's starting to look nearly indistinguishable from an actual flash going off, so that's fantastic. So this has a CRI of 96 plus, who knows what that plus is. Fixed white temperature of 5400K, although on the remote control, you can attempt to switch the white balance, although that does nothing, which kind of baffles me. This remote control seems to be a little confused as to what it's controlling. Using the Bowens mount, you can easily diffuse it to produce whatever kind of light you want. You can focus it down, you can spread it out and make it real soft. But again, although it still doesn't match 100% the light spectrum output of something like, say, an 8600 or 8400 Pro, this is the best in its field as far as I can tell, so it's a 10 out of 10 for light quality. Usability, this is where things get a bit complicated. I feel like Godox had some difficulties in deciding how to slot this flash into their ecosystem. Although we have a beautiful, bright, easily readable screen, some great big control wheels in the back that let you easily control the light, they push to change functions, you can switch between continuous light mode and LED mode, and then you can vary the brightness of the continuous LED as well as the light output of the flash. So that's great, those are great features to have. And they're easily changed on the device itself. Also, we just get this really long AC power cable. There's no bulky brick to drag around. And the unit itself is, as I said, pretty compact and reasonably lightweight. Not as compact and light as, say, just a strobe that would have more than the amount of flash output as this, but for what it is small and compact. What I have to complain about for the usability, when you're going to change the settings on this using the remote, it is slow. If I hold this button down, it takes the better part of 30 seconds to cycle from 100 to 1, and that's kind of crazy. And also, when you're changing the light output with the remote, it doesn't actually change on the unit itself until you've stopped changing it on the remote. So you can't continuously see your light changing, you have to keep stopping and looking. That's super annoying to me. The remote itself could be used for multiples of these. You can change the group, just like on your Godox controlled systems, from A, B, C, D, E on the remote itself. So that's nice. As well, the channel can be changed as well. It seems to communicate over the same protocols, more or less. Also, when you're in flash mode on this, you can't change the ambient constant LED light output on this light using the remote control. or it switches it back to continuous light mode and out of flash mode. So you kind of have to bring it back down the stand, adjust the knob, and then put it back up again. And the X-Pro transmitter isn't really designed or equipped to fully handle the functions of this either. So you end up in this sort of thing where I'm adjusting some stuff on the X-Pro, adjusting some stuff on the remote, and then realizing that I shouldn't have tried that and I gotta pull it back. Anyway, I feel like some firmware updates are required for the X-Pro transmitters to really get them in sync with this, and who knows, they might be on the way. So overall, this is a pretty easy to use light, but once you really get into it, there are a lot of nitpicks and a lot of little annoyances, so I can only give it a 7 out of 10 for usability. It'll get you up and running real quick, but when you get into the deeper stuff, it starts getting weird. Value. It's a little bit hard to be super picky about the value of this when there's very little to directly compare it to. The only thing that I can really think of that does very close to the same job would be the Rotolite EOS, or EOS 2. The EOS is $1,000. That's a lot more than this. But let's do a rundown of continuous lights and see where this fits in. So the FV150, which is 11.8 inches long, 6.9 pounds, is $350. The FV200, the big brother, 14.4 inches long, 7.3 pounds, $450. So you kind of get what you pay for there for light output. Then we have the Golden Eagle LED 2000, that's $399. And the Godox SL200, their previous continuous light, only has a CRI of 93, it's $360. So in a way, this becomes a no-brainer compared to their previous light. And Photodiox has their LED 200, only has a CRI of 85, which is almost laughable these days, for $440. And Aputure has a 120D, good CRI, but that's $745. So this is less than half the price. Seems like a pretty safe bet. And again, the Rotolite EOS is $1,000. Totally different form factor. Only has half the output at 3 times the price. But it can run on batteries, so that's a nice advantage to have. Honestly, there's not a lot that really gives this a run for its money. Yes, you can get a cheaper continuous light. And no, this isn't dirt cheap, but it's a solid value at 8 out of 10. So overall, yes, this is a bit of a new form factor and a bit of a proof of concept for, honestly, probably the way that the industry and flashes are going in the future. It'll take a little while to get there as flash efficiency increases and battery packs start to get designed into things like this. That might make it heavy, but I'm pretty sure that we'll get there someday. At the same time, I have to recognize that this is still kind of a niche product. Because if I put this up against an 8400 Pro, which is about the same price, depending on whether or not you get it on sale, it has a much higher flash output, it will freeze your motion like crazy, has a reasonably bright modeling lamp. It's enough to see, but it's not great if you're doing double diffuser for video. It'll get a bit dim at that point. And same for the 8600 Pro. But how does it work in a professional photography situation?
Yeah, something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
We're on camera, it's recording right now.
All right.
Yeah.
So hello everyone.
So here we are at a big empty Equi warehouse to test out this Godox FV150, and this is Irena.
My name is Irina Lerman. I'm from Atlantic Ballet Company. Here we are, dancing and enjoying. That's all.
How would people find you on the internet if they want to?
So it's very easy. Everywhere I'm just like Irina Lerman, IRINA. Small down stuff, I don't know how to say in English, and LERMI.
I'm going to put a link down there anyway.
Yes, that's better. My English is terrible sometimes.
So Irina, being a professional dancer, knows what she's doing, and I don't know what I'm doing. So she's going to do some amazing dance moves for us to test out whether or not this is going to work for motion and for versatile photos and videos. Because we're going to do both.
He's speaking very well.
I've done this before. All right, let's do it. So I tried to freeze the motion of her dancing, and honestly, it did not really do the job. When I upped my shutter speed, all of a sudden it was fine again, but If that's the sort of work that you're doing, an 8600 Pro would be a much safer bet, or an 8400 Pro. Although we got some phenomenal images, the light was lovely, the colors were great, this isn't what I would take in the future for action photography. Although you get some pretty fast recycle times. Once you get up to 1:1 power, it's not that fast anymore. If I were to take a speed light and bring it down to about the same power output as this, it would be faster. Now, if I turn this guy down to 1/8, it's pretty quick. But honestly, I find the advertising around this to be just a little bit disingenuous, that this is super rapid recycle because it's an LED that doesn't have to charge a capacitor. It's not that fast. And so when we were shooting the ballet dancing, well, I missed a lot of in-between shots when I was trying to rattle them off fast. Again, an 8400 or an 8600 Pro would have recycled the equivalent light values way, way faster. So again, if action's your thing, this probably isn't your thing, unless you're taking video. In which case, the flicker-free, powerful light that comes out of this with high quality color might be great for you. So here's some video taken at 120p on my A9. Everything's smooth, everything's nice, everything's well lit. Well, it's dramatically lit. And then there's some taken with my iPhone, because that goes up to 240 frames per second, which is real nice for slow-mo. Kind of wish the A9 could do that. It's got a fast sensor. Give me a firmware update. So this may or may not be the light for you. Now, if you just need a flash to come out of this thing, it will do the job. If you just need a continuous light, honestly, without even using the flash functionality of this is a good buy. It's good light for a decent amount of money. Is this light for you? Let me know what you think about this weird, almost Frankenstein sort of light. Do you think it's even the future, or am I just barking up the wrong tree here? Let me know down in the comments, and let me know what you think about the FV150. So, until next time. Well, I guess I'm gonna need the power cord. Go take some photos.